Hey YouTube, how y'all? Listen, before I start this video, they're testing the fire alarm system here. They're putting in a new system. So periodically, you might hear this fire alarm go off for, I think it's three bells, three beeps. Bang, bang, bang. I think I'm going to try to get through the video. I've been waiting all morning for them to stop, but apparently they're trying the whole building. So ignore that, and we'll try to get through this the best way we can. But this morning, I've been going over, I think I already talked a little bit about the situation with the Breakfast Club in Flame Monroe. I didn't go into her personally. I sort of went more into, what was I talking about at the time? Monique and his situation, her situation. Anyway, so this morning I ran into I forget the girl's name. Somebody was talking about Justin J over there crying. So I said, okay, I haven't looked at Justin J for at least a year. Let me go over there and see what he's talking about. Now, Justin J and I agree on almost nothing, at least as far as technique. He tends to be a very, I would say Justin J is more of an activist towards black causes, women's causes, gay causes. More of an activist personality, and sometimes a little overbearing for me. But today I said, let me go over and check it out, see what they're talking about, because I had several questions about this interview on Breakfast Club with Flame Monroe. Now I'm just now becoming aware of this person. Apparently this person is a popular person. They've got a career or whatever. But I just recently became aware of this person, right? Anyway. So Justin's over there crying. I'm trying to figure out whose side am I on in this? Who is making the most sense? Because Flame Monroe, I have to say this. Flame Monroe, you are saying some of the most problematic shit that I can imagine for the LGBT community. You didn't seem to care. You had fans stating, obviously you're promoting these fans, so that's gets a little on the nerves, but you're promoting this idea that I don't give a shit what you think, basically, right? But you're saying that you are a heterosexual man who is also a transgender woman, but only for 4 hours a day. And then you go back to being a heterosexual man. Anyway, I can understand this boy, Justin J's confusion. Well, he was just straight up angry. I was more confused. And then I started thinking about, over the last couple of days, I thought about the story, and I said, oh, I've known a person like this. I have had a person like this living in my apartment with me and my dying partner, right? Back in the drug days, I had this friend. I made this friend who was I assume was a transgender person, right? We became good friends. And it was the first time that I had a transgender good friend, where we hung out together every single day. We got high together, picked up boys together, and all that kind of stuff, right? Anyway, circumstances had this person move into our apartment. Now, this person, I don't know if anybody here is aware of the LA's. People are from LA. Might even know this person. She was pretty well known in the community in LA. Not really, more with the drug community in LA, put it like that. Anyway, so this person, we'll just call her Lisa. Lisa's no longer living. But Lisa, she had big cheekbones done, had her face done. She had breasts, so she had breasts were done. She didn't have a body, but she had this routine where she would go on every night and put on this, I guess they call it a couch, where she would create with big pillows, reduce them to hips. She had become such an artist at this. She was a transformer for sure. Anyway, she could make an hourglass figure out of these pillows and so forth. Pillows, tights. Anyway, I was say, well, and Lisa was a prostitute. This is how she paid for her hustle. We were both drug addicts, meth addicts. I was a thief, and she was a prostitute. But I was saying, how can you be a prostitute with all this stuff? I mean, at least 30 minutes just to get the pants off because it's so packed with formulating this hourglass figure. So my point is, she went through a whole lot to be ready to transform into a woman at night to prostitute. And it was a pretty good transformation. I mean, he was kind of an artist at this thing where you would take in the daytime, a plain looking man, a man that looked a lot like Flame Monroe. And then he could transform just with makeup, hair. I think he would pad the titties a little bit more, but he already had some. The body and the whole bit. To go out and be a prostitute. Well, when I found out when he came to live there, I already knew that this person was a top, as they say. They like boys, but they like to use their penis. Right? And, but I didn't understand, something I didn't understand. In Lisa's mind, during the day, he was a gay boy, a man. He looked nothing like a man. He had tits. He didn't have the body part, but his face, he had these big cheekbones that he had implanted in his face, and he just looked like a queen out of drag to me. But in his mind, he thought he looked like a gay boy, right? So my point is, Lisa did all this, according to her, for prostitution. That was it. She had no interest in wearing women's clothes when she wasn't working. She walked around in men's clothes all during the day. He likes to refer to himself as a gay boy, but he looked nothing like a boy. And I would say, Lisa, you mean to tell me that you do not identify as a transgender person? No, I'm a prostitute. And he didn't identify as heterosexual. He identified as a straight boy. But the thing is, he did all this just to turn tricks. Just to turn tricks. So with all that body, I didn't go all into the details. I think it would kind of rude. But maybe she was just giving head or something. I don't know how she would get in and out of all this stuff and still present to a person who picked up a person who looked one way. They take the clothes off and they're completely somebody else. I don't know how that worked. So I had to assume that this was an oral sex kind of thing. All right, so back to this Breakfast Club show. So apparently Flame Monroe, in his mind, we got to go back, his, her, I guess you refer to the person, if they're not in women's clothes, then they're he. Then if they are in women's clothes, then they are a she. I guess. You know, people get mad at you because you say you're confused. Hell, I'm gay for 50 years and I'm still confused. Okay. Last year, I work at this country club. I do a volunteering gig in this country club. It's just a hangout place, people in recovery, right, in the Castro. But it's right in the middle of the Castro, 18th and Castro. And they do a lot of drag shows there for entertainment. And so I went and asked some of these people who hung around the club, hey, it's the Trans March. The Trans March is the day before the gay parade, right? I said, aren't you guys going to the parade, to the march? And one of the people I was closest to said, oh, no, we're not welcome there. They don't even like us. They think we're making fun of them. So it comes down to drag queen as opposed to transgender person. They did not necessarily mesh, right? And usually you categorize them, either you're a transgender person or you're a drag queen. It seems to me that Flame Monroe doesn't fit either one of them. For me, a drag queen should be able to take everything off. Someone like James Caldwell, they can put it on and take it off, right? They're a gay boy and they dress in drag as a form of entertainment. It is considered an art in the gay community. Correct? And a transgender person or person in any part of transitioning will alter their body. They will have breasts. Usually drag queens don't have real breasts. They have things they put over their head. They have ways of making it appear to have real breasts. They create bodies and so forth. But it all comes off. And they go back to being a boy. So anyway, I'm trying to understand this thing between Justin J over here crying like a baby. What's he crying about? I don't understand. His passion is for transgender people being killed. They should be properly represented in the media. I think that's what he's saying. And to a large extent, I guess I would agree that we have to be careful about what we say when you're not on our level, but on the level of Flame Monroe, because it does give people a justification. They say, "Well, Flame said this, so that's what I believe too. You just a regular old nigga with a dress on," all that kind of stuff, right? But Flame Monroe is an older person. He's been doing this for years, and I think he's a lot like my friend Lisa. He's able to compartmentalize. This is what I do for a living. This is what I do for who I am, right? But I'm willing to alter my appearance to fit what I do for a living. You can't blame people for being a little confused, Flame. You know, and then you went out of your way to say these words that, and I don't know about these words. Words change. Black people used to call each other colored, then it was black, and then it was African American. The words change over time, right? So I don't get really involved in this tranny thing. I think probably drag queens don't mind tranny, but transgender people do mind tranny because they look alike, but they're not the same, right? Anyway, what was my point? I got all combobulated now. So Justin J, he's all over there, all crying and compassionate and whatever, because he doesn't like the idea of Flame saying that when he takes his children to school, he puts on big clothes to appear to be not what he is, right? He takes that as being a transgender person covering up their breasts to fit in, whatever. Justin J ain't raised no kids. So this might be a little bit of a delusion of Flame Monroe, because when I see Flame Monroe, the research I've done in the last couple of days, he's just like my friend Lisa. He doesn't look like a guy. He's done too much to his body to alter his body. So in his mind, he thinks putting a big t-shirt on makes him appear to be a straight man. It's a little bit delusional. But it's his delusion. It's working for him. It's working for his family, you know. So yeah, I did think that a lot of things that Flame was saying were problematic. That's Justin's word, one of his favorite words. So in this thing, I'm not going to take sides. I think this is a conversation that needs to be had without the comedy. In other words, I don't know why gay people feel like they have to go on these TV shows and tell all about their sex life and all that kind of stuff. But I think it comes down also to gender identity and sexual identity. They're not the same thing, right? Because Flame Monroe, he say he's a straight man. Him being a straight man has got nothing to do with the silicone in his face. I guess we all know that some trans people are heterosexual, or they are. Oh God, I don't blame people for being confused. This conversation is a little ahead of its time, in my opinion. People are just not trying to get trans rights and so forth. So yes, I think things should be said a certain way in public. We have to consider the people who are fighting the hardest, the people who are most harmed by society, and that would be regular transgender people. I mean, drag queens, they can take it on and take it off. Flame Monroe seemed to have ideas that were probably born in the 60s, in the 70s. They no longer work. And then we have to accept also this new language people are using, calling themselves queer. Maybe I don't fit in any of the categories. Maybe I don't fit in any of the categories. This person is a unique type person. I would say when you're going to interview as a comedian, do comedy. When you're going to interview as a person of the LGBT community, then you interview as a part of that community, right? He's trying to mix the two, so we don't know when he's joking, he's trying to be funny, or he's telling his truth, or what he actually believes, right? So I didn't come out of this thing feeling any clearer. I mean, I went into it trying to figure out exactly how we should accept what the things that Flame Monroe said in the Breakfast Club. And what would I consider him? I'm still confused. I saw a clip a few minutes ago. He was at T.S. Madison's house and saying pretty much the same things that he was saying on the Breakfast Club. So I guess this is how he really feels or whatever. But people are, they're unique. See, we can't think you're a transgender or you're a drag queen or you're a gay boy, right? And maybe it's not necessarily the truth, because also Flame Monroe said that he was attracted to women, right? But he was attracted to studs. He was attracted to studs, women, right? Now, as far as I know, and I know all kind of people, I've been in the community for 50 years. As far as I know, most studs do not want to be penetrated. So I'm trying to figure out, wait a minute, this dude appears to be a woman with no makeup on. Taking off the makeup and putting a little hat on your head does not make you look like a dude again. Not when you've had all this work on your face and your body, right? But he's attracted to women, but not regular heterosexual women. He's attracted to gay women and to studs. How can you blame somebody for being confused? That's why I don't think this conversation should be taking place on the Breakfast Club. People need to understand, if they care to understand people better, but it should be in a more serious form, in my opinion. And so maybe those conversations will happen. Flame Monroe, he is trying to get into a heterosexual show business. That's what it is. He wants to be in heterosexual show business. In other words, he doesn't want to do drag shows. He's a comedian, but from what I'm seeing, he's with Tiffany Haddish now. He had an opportunity to cross over and to do a Netflix special. He's trying to be accepted on a different level than drag shows, right? So it could be that he's just telling these people what they want to hear, what makes them comfortable, what makes them able to relax and laugh at the cost of his community, which I think he's still in the community, because even though he says that he's a heterosexual male or whatever, he's still having sex with other LGBT people. So his whole life is LGBT right, I guess. Anyway, he says all this is because of his kids. His kids will be, two of them are 16. They'll be leaving the house soon, and maybe we'll find out the real Flame Monroe. But as for this moment, I'm not taking either of their sides. People are unique. People have a right to be different. We don't understand everything, and maybe this conversation is just a little bit ahead of its time. I think it should be taken out of the comedy context altogether. Just have a serious conversation if you want to have something public. If you're going to be a comedian, be a comedian. Laugh. But don't laugh at our expense or the transgender community's expense. So I can understand Justin's. In this particular incident, I would say Justin's not very far off, in my opinion. What do you guys think? Later.